Hello, friends. I definitely wanted to be able to create a video. I'm going to definitely be transparent as I always am with you all. I'm not 100% better. I can definitely tell you creating this video and actually exerting my body just a little bit to create this video and to definitely go through the process of uploading it. It's definitely going to cause me a little bit of a setback later on, but I definitely wanted to not be rude with any of you. I know a lot of you have sent me messages on the post that my husband had created. I've received a lot of text messages, messages on Facebook. I cannot, my screen time cannot be long at all. I cannot even pretty much endure like a minute of actually looking at the screen. Thankfully with this, I'm actually looking at the actual camera and not looking at the image of myself. So this isn't, too bad in terms of, staring at full on screen. But I wanted to be able to give you all somewhat of an update of, everything that's been going on with me. You're going to see me looking down a lot. I did take down just some bullet points, not to put, too much pressure on my head. I know some of you know I like to kind of speak from the heart, but, not to overexert myself. I did jot some things down. So as many of you know, I was admitted to the hospital on May 9th. Simply what had happened was my husband came home from work and I've been going through this ringing in my left ear. So it has always just been unilateral, where I've had just this horrendous ringing in my left ear. It's currently ringing right now as I speak. It seems to never really go away. But that has been continuous since April 19th. That weekend of April 19th, I did start to get vertigo. The vertigo did come on very substantial. So it was April 22nd that I started having this big episode of vertigo. So much so to the point that this vertigo basically almost knocked me off of my feet. It came basically raging, that I literally had to ask my husband for assistance to go and lay in the bed. Even when I shut my eyelids, I could literally feel my eyelids shaking from my eyes still spinning. I mean, that is how extreme it had gotten. I did end up going to the ER April 23rd. They basically just expressed concern. Unfortunately, the ER that I went to, it was basically like a standalone ER. It was not, the full-blown hospital that would have the ER department attached to it. I just figured, going to the standalone ER would kind of save a little bit of time, if it was nothing of severity. So that ER doctor basically just gave me medication for the vertigo. It did not end up helping me at all. So I did take the medication. He had given me meclizine. I was told it would help with the dizzy spells, but it did not do anything for me. So everything kind of just really progressed. His recommendation was for me to see an ENT, ears, nose, and throat specialist. It definitely was HE double hockey sticks trying to get in with seeing an ENT locally in my area. I joked, even with the staff, that I probably would have had better luck going to King Charles's coronation than to be able to see this ENT. It was near impossible, and I truly feel like exerting myself every single day since that Monday, April 24th, trying to schedule to see the ENT, fighting and arguing with who's supposed to be healthcare professionals answering the phone. They could care less. Even a few of them that were very rude from the get-go. I explained to them that, in the field of healthcare, the word healthcare has the word care in it. And if you cannot even care to even talk to somebody on the phone that is literally pleading and borderline begging you for help, and you just don't care, you're just giving this person just attitude for no reason at all. I'm not giving them attitude. Why they came at me with attitude is beyond me. I told them that I'm not in any health or any strength at all to be able to argue back with them. So I definitely was not able to counteract with their arguing. It was very frustrating. I really feel like it is what had led me to kind of be in such a bedridden state that my husband, he definitely had to take me to the ER. So once he came home on May 9th, I went straight to the emergency room. So from actually being wheelchaired in by my husband, they literally took me almost immediately. I was basically welcomed and basically escorted by the ER doctor as well as one of his head nurses, because the physical appearance, the physical state that I was in, even for them, I basically looked, even the access coordinator that checks people in, she even said that my life looked like it was hanging by a thread. My body was just very flush. I really did not have any color to my body. I looked very ghostly. I could not even bear to keep my eyes open. I had extreme sensitivity to light. So even some of the testing that the ER doctor was trying to do to kind of check, my eyes, and, it was very uncomfortable. I made big attempts to try for him to kind of check certain vitals, but I could not. Their immediate course of action was to give me Valium through the IV because my head had so much pressure. The ringing in my ear was just off the charts, very loud. And my whole body was just feeling just so uncomfortable. I can definitely tell you, like, in that moment, my mental health has become so strong since I've been on this healing journey of my mental health. But, I can definitely tell you in that moment when I was just feeling the way that I was, for my body to just be in such extreme pain, I can definitely admit to you all, like, it really gets a person to thinking, what measures they would take to just stop all of that in an instant. Like, that is how extreme and how off the charts, just painful my head felt, as well as the ringing in the ear, how extremely loud it was. So that was what initially sent me to the ER. I am going to title this video, and sorry not sorry, I'm going to title this video that the carnivore diet sent me to the ER. And the reason being, because I really feel like I need to bring attention to this video, not to trigger anyone, to gain me views. As you all know, I am not about the views. I am not about, any sort of goal. When it comes to, my goals of my channel, my goal has always been to reach and to be able to change as many lives as I could. If that is simply a matter of my views showing that, or my subscriber count showing that, so be it. But I do not have any particular personal goal when it comes to my subscriber counts. But I do want to title the video as such only because I can definitely tell you all, and the doctors, shockingly, the doctors have mentioned it as well, if I was not eating clean like I've been doing since the 1st of January, eating carnivore, doing a complete elimination of everything, my body probably would not have had the ability to let me know that there is something wrong, that I have something underlying going on. And, I probably would not have gotten the opportunity to address what's going on. Say, for example, if I was still eating a ketogenic way of eating. My ketogenic way of eating, it was pretty much clean keto. We did incorporate almond flour, coconut flour, definitely a lot of cheese here and there, incorporated a lot of vegetables, which I have since learned, being on this carnivore journey, were high in oxalate, were vegetables that I definitely probably should have stayed away from. So that is why I'm going to title the video as such, only because I feel it is so important to highlight how important it is. Even on a ketogenic way of eating, you need to disconnect from certain foods. You need to disconnect from certain products. We definitely have to be able to get to the basics. We need to be able to get down to the whole foods. So now that we're speaking about our eating, I can definitely say, even through my stay at the hospital, I remained carnivore. As you all know, I am not someone that does slip-ups. I am the type of person, and as you all know, I am perfectly imperfect for many things on my journey. But when it comes to my way of eating, I am very headstrong. When it comes to my goals, when it comes to my way of eating, I have always been somebody that has had my mantra be my goals over my cravings. I have to put my goals as precedence beyond what my cravings are. I cannot allow any foods to basically attract me, to pull me in like a magnetic force. I cannot. I also feel that because I addressed whatever I was mentally going through, it has allowed me not to succumb to any bad foods. So what I basically had for what my brunch was at the hospital, thankfully through their build your own omelet option, I was able to basically get scrambled eggs. I was able to confirm they don't put anything in their scrambled egg. It is just simply just egg. So they don't add, any pancake batter. Like I know some restaurants, some franchises, they would try to fluff up the eggs. So this was simply just 2 eggs that were simply just scrambled up. And I did reintroduce cheese on May 10th. So the evening that I went in on May 9th, I did not have dinner. So I actually fasted all the way up until I was able to have brunch the next day on May 10th. And I did start off only because the hospital, unfortunately, when it comes to proteins, they place a limit per order. So I was able to initially start off with having 2 scrambled eggs. I did add some cheddar cheese. So their cheddar cheese, it is pretty much, as clean as it can get. So it came out to be, for the sizing of the cheddar cheese, and I was also able to confirm that it was real cheddar cheese. The other cheeses that they had available, they did have oils in it. So I was thankful that at least the kitchen staff, even though they were not accommodating for the amount of protein I had needed, they were at least accommodating for looking up when it came to ingredients. So the cheddar cheese had nothing in it. So it was for the portion that I had gotten that they were able to provide for a 2-egg omelet. It came out to be 0.21 grams of carbs. So it did not even reach 1 carb. So that is what I had for my brunch every single day that I was in the ER. And I did make a complaint with my nurse because I did explain to her that the only things that I was able to eat part of the dinner menu, it was not a big deal for me to go all day having just those 2 eggs and just that little bit of cheddar cheese, because I've always just pretty much been OMAD, 1 meal a day. But I wanted to be able to have a substantial dinner. So I'm just going to kind of go over on this huge list that they have here of their meals that they have for their dinner. So they have options of soup being chicken noodle, tomato bisque, and for their grill options, they have hamburger, garden burger, turkey burger, chicken sandwich, grilled cheese, chicken quesadilla. They have different salad options such as tuna, chicken, egg, turkey, roast beef, ham, American cheese, Swiss cheese, and cheddar cheese. So those are their deli options for their salad. They also have peanut butter and jelly. And they have bread that you can get either with your sandwich or you can get it on the side. Wheat, white bread, complete white bread, and wheat bun. And they had salads such as chicken Caesar, side salad, hummus, and a vegetable platter. And for what they consider their comfort foods, grilled chicken, lasagna roll up with marinara, marinated baked tofu, Dijon herb crusted cod, mashed potatoes, white rice or brown rice, green beans, carrots, macaroni and cheese, and baked Lay's chips. And they list a whole bunch of different desserts that you are able to get. I will definitely tell you all, I was not shocked because obviously we're talking about a hospital, and anyone that has been in the hospital any period of time, whether they were on their carnivore way of eating, their ketogenic way of eating, and they had any sort of hospital stay, or even if they were a guest to anybody that was in the hospital, everyone knows the way hospital food is. What was kind of a little bit shocking to me was they were more than willing to accommodate. If I wanted to get that build your own omelet with that little bit of cheese, and say if I wanted to get an unlimited amount of toast, if I wanted to get an unlimited amount of French toast, pancakes, oatmeal, they were more than willing to give me as many carbs as I wanted on the side. But when it came to the protein, when it came to the eggs, they wanted to limit at just that 2 count of scrambled eggs. They also have hard-boiled eggs available. They only wanted to give me one hard-boiled egg. So that is why I opted for the build your own omelet, because that is scrambled as 2 eggs. I was able to get an unlimited amount of yogurt. I can definitely tell you all from this listing here, the yogurt that has the least amount of carbs is sitting at 15 total carbs. So yes, I definitely stayed away from a lot that they have on this menu. It was very important for me to not in the moment succumb to my emotional state that I was going through, to not succumb to the feelings that I was going through. There was a lot of moments where things got really dark for me at the hospital, you know, especially as I was going through a lot of the testing, which I'm going to cover next. But I went through an extreme amount of testing. Like, the list that I have on my discharge paperwork of the testing I went through is pages and pages long. I went through an extreme amount of blood work. I went through an EKG. I went through 2 EKGs, mind you. I went through constant around the clock. And that is another thing as well. So when they admitted me, I was in such a critical state that they did not want to admit me to a regular room. So they had me in an extension to the emergency room that is simply considered an observatory area. So it is basically considered like their critical care unit to their emergency room. So basically someone that needs the privacy of a room, but is still so critical that they need immediate around the clock monitoring is how they basically kept me admitted in the hospital. So I had nurses coming every single hour to check my vitals. They also check my weight at the hospital. So I'm going to get into that as well, because as you all know, I stay off the scale ever since I finished my 60 days of triple B and E in March. I have not gone on the scale ever since, but I do have some information regarding this scale for anyone that is curious, because, you know, they did weigh me. So I'm going to cover that as well. But, you know, when it comes to my way of eating, I can definitely mention to you all, and I'm going to take a photo of it. That way you're going to be able to see it a lot more clearer, because I don't want to focus on making sure that this writing is focused on camera. But for my diet instructions on my discharge paperwork, they even made sure to put resume your pre-hospital diet. So it was so important for the neurology team as well as the discharging doctor to notate that, because my blood work was exceptional. There was nothing in my blood work that alerted them to anything going on with my body. All of my numbers when it came to blood work, they were exceptional, which kind of worried them even more, because it did not, you know, pose any answers of possibly what is going on. I went through 2 CAT scans. The CAT scan, the main focus was for my head, because everything is, you know, going on in my head between this unilateral ringing in my left ear as well as the extreme vertigo. So the CAT scan was done without contrast first. That prompted a neurologist to see me literally in the middle of the night. In the middle of the night, I had a neurologist that came and saw me. So we're talking about like after midnight, but before daylight morning hours. I was basically so frightened because I had this gentleman with a lab coat that was literally just in my room in the middle of the night. Thankfully, my nurse She had came in and kind of explained what was going on, and he basically had told me that there was something that they had saw on the CAT scan. He described it as lesions on my brain. And he said that he definitely wanted to follow up and to be able to do a CAT scan with contrast. He wanted to kind of get an idea of exactly what are these lesions, to kind of get an idea to see them more profoundly, to find out exactly what is going on. So literally minutes later, I had a transport person that came and got me and took me off to the CAT scan with contrast. Come the next morning, the new nurse, that was basically my day shift nurse, there was a changing of shifts. So I had a new nurse that came in and told me that they were still very puzzled from the CAT scan with contrast, and they wanted to do an MRI. Unfortunately, they did an MRI without contrast. That basically led for them to be puzzled even more, because they said that they had basically seen what looks like white matter being present, and they said that the way that they're seeing it is alarming for my age. So I don't know if I ever disclosed my age to any of you all, but I am 39 years old. My birthday is not until December. So they were alarmed for me being 39 years old, my blood work being incredible, and for me to basically be having, this sort of issue. It basically prompted them to follow up with an MRI with contrast. So the MRI with contrast, it basically, they gave me some paperwork here. They basically printed it out for me, because even the neurologist had mentioned to me that he considers me not his typical patient, because of just kind of how much I knew about my body and my overall health, and just pretty much how in tune I've been. So he basically gave me this information, and the white matter that they basically had seen, he said that it was very alarming to him, because it is not typical for someone my age to be experiencing that, especially with me not having any history. So even on this paperwork, it basically shows that it's present in more than half of the population of people who are 60 years old and older. So with what he had seen, he said that normally someone that would have this sort of white matter being present, that they would have had some sort of history, so such as high blood pressure, and I don't have any history of high blood pressure. Elevated blood sugar from diabetes. I have never been a diabetic. I have not even been borderline diabetic. Even the times that I have had my children, if anyone is familiar through the process that a pregnant woman goes through, you do go through a substantial amount of testing when it comes to especially your blood sugar, because the staff, the doctor, the gynecologist, the OBGYN, they definitely want to make sure that you are not a candidate for gestational diabetes, because if you do have gestational diabetes, it is very likely that you can pass that on to your newborn. So they definitely make sure to monitor when it comes to any pregnant women. And I can definitely tell you the time span of when I had my miracle children. I had our oldest son in 2008, and our most recent miracle, he came in January of 2017. So I definitely have had my blood sugar checked around those times. I've also checked my blood sugar myself, and I've never had anywhere close to any high sugar. So the other mentionings that they had made was high cholesterol. I have never had any cholesterol issues. And they also mention anyone that has been a smoker. And I've never once touched a cigarette, thankfully. So anything that they have mentioned that could be possibilities for why this could be happening, I don't have any of them going on with my body. So they basically deem me as being a medical mystery. That is literally how I left the hospital, was being considered a medical mystery. They don't know what's going on with me. They did those 2 CAT scans. They did those 2 MRIs. So I wish I could give you all more information to what's going on. So that is the reason being why I have not been able to respond to anyone, because it is not going to be any shape or form a quick response I'm going to be able to give you. I do not have any quick, concrete answer to what is going on with my body. The only things that I have been told was to most definitely establish with a primary care doctor. I've been told to definitely establish with a neurologist. So those are the courses of action that I have been able to take. As many of you know, I left a very toxic job last year, August. So it's almost going to be a year since I left that employment. So that being said, I am someone that is uninsured. You know, it was very important to my mental state to leave that job. So I do not currently have any insurance. So that is making it a lot more difficult for me to be able to establish with a primary care doctor and to be able to establish with a neurologist. Some of the things that the neurologist had told me upon my discharge is he said that I may have to go through testing for MS. He said that some of the symptoms that I'm experiencing, he said it could be a possibility that my body, now that I've been eating very pure and very clean, it could be very likely that my body is now just showing me the symptoms of MS. So he said it is a possibility. You know, it's not anything he felt so strongly about that he wanted to, you know, diagnose and actually, you know, put it as anything concrete. It was just a possibility that he had mentioned. So I'm just going to kind of leave it at that. You know, as soon as I have any more information, I will certainly update you all. But I want to kind of just get into my future. So that is my future treatment, is to establish with a PCP as well as a neurologist to do additional testing so I can kind of get to the bottom of this mystery of what is going on. My future when it comes to my eating, I am most definitely going to continue with a carnivore way of eating. I cannot afford to have any slip-ups. I cannot afford to succumb to any feelings. I have to continue on. This is the main reason why my body is able to endure, even though I have nights that are just unexplainable. You know, I don't want to call them bad nights. I don't want to call them bad days, because I am blessed. I am so blessed for every single day that I am just gifted with. So I do not want to bad name any of the moments that I go through. I know there's so many others going through so much worse out there. So I am just grateful. Even throughout everything I've been through, I am just so grateful to be here. I just feel so grateful that I'm able to at least take the time to be able to update you all. And I'm sorry if this video is forever long, because I'm not going to go through any sort of editing. I am just going to upload this video, slap on the intro and the ending slides, and that's going to be that. But as far as my future plans, I have not incorporated dairy very much. I could definitely tell you I've been doing 2 MAD, so I've been doing 2 meals a day, just to kind of keep my energy going. And when it comes to the weight that I was going to mention to you all, so I had started at the beginning of this journey at 234 pounds, 0.4. So that was what my weight was fluctuating when I left that toxic job in August. And by the time I started the carnivore way of eating, that was pretty much the weight that I had started off at. Now, currently, and I did also weigh myself at home to confirm, because obviously the hospital scale, I wanted to make sure how accurate their scale was in comparison to my own. So upon discharge from the hospital, I was 204.4. When I came home, I was also 204.4. So it seems like my scale at home is definitely accurate and calibrated as far as what the hospital had. So that means since I started in January up until present date, I have lost a total of 30 pounds with this carnivore way of eating. So that has me feeling good. Not because of the number, but because it does show that this way of eating has been sustainable for my body to continually heal. So that averages out to be, each month I've been losing about like 5 to 6 pounds. I am in competition with myself. I am not going to compare myself with drastic weight losses that anyone has experienced on this way of eating. I am satisfied with that. So if my body is healing at that rate of basically releasing 5 to 6 pounds worth in a month, that for me is a healthy weight loss for being at that starting weight that I was at. So I don't have a goal weight in mind. As I told you all, I'm going to see how my body feels. I'm going to see how I feel in the clothes that I am basically getting down to wearing. So that is pretty much what the weight consisted of, and what my future looks like when it comes to treatment as well as the eating. I was discharged from the hospital on May 16th. So I've been making basically phone calls whenever my body is able to have the energy. I can definitely tell you all, I do not use my phone barely at all throughout the day. If my husband calls at his lunch break to check on me, I'm speaking to him for like a couple seconds, because I cannot exert myself too much. I spend most of my time in the bed, only to kind of keep the vertigo at bay, because when I'm in a laying position, it definitely helps substantially. I am just hoping and praying that soon I get some answers. I am not used to at all not having the sharpness of my thoughts. I am not used to not having the sharpness of my brain. I literally feel like my head is just a complete mush 24/7. Just the pain and the pressure is just horrendous. So, as many would say, I do not wish this. I don't have any enemies, but if I did have any enemies, I don't wish this on anybody. I am just so thankful that my mental state is the way that it is. Because if it was not, it would be so hard to have a positive outlook for what I'm going through. And I don't want to get too descriptive with you all about what I go through day in and day out. It definitely has not been easy, but I just want to tell you all, I keep a reminder of what my whys are. And you all are a very big part of my why. I definitely want to be able to get to the point where I can return to you all as who I am. Because even creating this video, even though I'm going to tell you right now, it is very painful. The pressure that I have in my head just kind of putting this together, and the ringing that I have in my ear that it's been continuous this whole time. I would even put all of that aside for you all, just to be able to give you an update. So when I tell you all how much I care for you all, how much I deeply love you all, it is sincere. It is truly heartfelt, and it is not sugar-coated at all. So I just want to thank you all for the prayers, for, the comments. Even though I have not been able to read them all, I will get to them all in due time. It is really important to me to respond to each and every one of you. But I just wanted to be able to update and give you guys some information, even if there is really not much to go off on. I would definitely appreciate all the prayers, because I am a very strong believer in prayer. It has been so much I've been through in my life. This is not the first time that my life basically could have come to an end. I've had many episodes of my life where my life truly could have ended, but still yet, I am on blessed time. I do not even consider it borrowed time. I am on blessed time. Every single day that I've been given, every year that I've been given, I absolutely treasure it. And I treasure you all for taking the time out of your day, even to drop a comment or to express some thoughts for me. I truly appreciate it. I sincerely love you all, and I hope to be back with you all in my normal, perfectly imperfect state. So take care, my friends, and hopefully I will be able to update you all with some answers, hopefully sooner than later.